Welcome to Free Coding Academy's videos on Python. This is part 11, using classes. So first up, we have some vocabulary to go over. So object-oriented programming, also known as OOP, is when related attributes and behaviors are grouped together as classes from which objects can be created and objects can interact with each other. So a class is a blueprint for creating objects with certain attributes or instance variables and behaviors, also called methods. And instances are objects created from a class. So for example, you could have a class called dog, which creates dog objects. And so the attributes will be things that describe a dog and make it different, such as color, age, favorite food, etc., right? And so instances are going to be different dogs that you create. Maybe dog 1, dog 2, or you can give them names. Okay? So here's an example of creating a class. So we're creating a student class, right? And so here, the init method is a special method which is called whenever a new object of the class is created, which you can see right here. So here we're initializing the name to student, we're initializing the age to 17, and we're initializing the grade to 11. Next, the keyword self refers to the current object created using the class. So here, self refers to the object, the student object that you are creating when you're calling the student class, right? And when you're specifically calling the constructor, which is responsible for creating objects of the student class. So the init method refers to self in order to initialize the instance variables. Next up, attributes. So instance attribute refers to the variables which are specific to each instance of a class or each individual object. And they can be accessed using instance name.attribute_name. So a class attribute is different because these are variables which belong to the class and are shared among all instances or objects of the class. So they can be accessed using class name.attribute_name. So in this case, a class attribute would be something that belongs to the student class itself. Okay, some more vocabulary. So the init method must have self as the first parameter. After this, it can have any number of other parameters. So for instance, like we said before, for the dog class, you can have attributes such as color, age, favorite food, etc., right? So the following parameters can or cannot have default values. Either scenario is acceptable. So you can have default values or you cannot. Either is fine, right? So if you had default values, for instance, you could say that the default color for a dog could be brown and the default age could be 4, etc., right? Instance method is a method used to access and change instance variables and class variables. So here's an example. So this is the student class with the instance variables as we mentioned before, right? So the instance method meant to return the difference between a student's age and their grade. So here we have an instance method, right? So define age grade difference, and it's taking a parameter as self. So here return self.age minus self.grade. So this is not particularly useful in real life, but the idea is it's going to take the age and it's going to subtract the grade from that and return that value. Next up, we have something called magic methods. So magic methods, also known as dunder methods, are methods which complete a task for users, and they must begin and end with underscores. The init method is a magic method. You can create a magic method called string, for instance, str, which has underscores on either side, 2 underscores, with a parameter of self. So this is going to access and print the details in the instance variables as a string instead of the default memory address printed by Python when the object is directly printed. So if you just type the statement print and then you put in the name of the object in parentheses, you're going to get the memory address. So if you don't want that to happen, you're going to have to create this magic method. Overloading operator methods. So simply adding 2 objects together may not work because the objects contain a mix of instance variables, some of which are strings or numbers, and so it's not going to know how to add those different instance variables together when you're adding 2 objects together, right? So thus the method which adds 2 objects together using the plus operator can be overloaded, so you can customize it to do something specific using the specific object you created. So overloading is when a new method with the same name as an existing method is created specifically for a certain kind of object. So the renamed method written for this specific class and object is used instead of the originally existing method. So here's an example. So the name of the method is going to be add, and it's a magic method because you know you have two sets of underscores before and after, right? And it's taking in self as a parameter. So this can be overloaded and customized to take more parameters and properly add to objects of a certain type based on their instance variables. So for example, two company objects may be added together by having their names combined and their total worth being added. Okay, so this is just a reference sheet of more operator methods for each of the arithmetic operators and their corresponding magic methods. So for addition, we have the plus sign, subtraction, minus, multiplication, asterisk, division, we have the bar, and modulus, we have the percent sign, and then for power or exponents, we have two asterisks, right? And so the magic method for each of them, so for addition, it's called add, and remember you have those two underscores before and after. And so it's going to, each of these is going to take a parameter of self and other, meaning another object of the same class. So for addition, it's called add. For subtraction, it's called sub. For multiplication, it's called mul. And for division, it's called true div to distinguish it from floor division. And then for modulus, it's called mod. And then for power, it's called pow. Next up, we have some comparison methods for overloading. So these are the comparison operators, equals equals, and the magic method is called EQ. And then not equal to, the magic method is called NE. And then less than, the magic method is called LT. And then less than or equal to, the magic method is LE. Greater than, the magic method is GT. And greater than or equal to, the magic method is GE. And for each of these, as you can see, it's taking in a parameter as self and other, which refers to an object of the same class. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and please be sure to check out the other videos.